Hello all, and welcome to this afternoon's review. This is going to be the final review I do for some time. I always love how this thing, whenever I'm like testing the camera, it never pops up an error message, but whenever I actually am recording a video, it always pops up, whenever I do like this final take, it always wants to go and pop it up. And yeah, I am seriously tired of it, but I just need to update my setup very badly. Got like a 10-year-old like webcam that I use for this. The really nice mic that I had that I was using for years died ages ago, so now I have to use this crappy tinny little built-in camera mic. And yeah, I really need to update my setup, but financially I can't. Well, maybe now I can with this short sabbatical. Um, so what are we reviewing today? This is going to be a rum review. Probably the final rum review for some time. When I come back, there's another thing I'm going to review that is, I'm sorry, brandy review. And there's another brandy I'm going to review when I come back. But this one, if you go and Google it, this is one that is almost on almost all the lists of best budget brandy. And this is Torres 10 Gran Reserva. So this is a Spanish brandy. It's 10 years old, but 10 years old according to the Solera system. So you know those series of barrels where each one kind of goes down. They pour into the older barrel once the older barrel starts going down a little too much, and so on and so forth. So stack of barrels, and you can just imagine it kind of trickling down. So collectively, it's about 10 years old. So let's read the back, shall we? In 1946, despite the historical difficulties of the time, Miguel Torres Carbó created Torres 10, the most representative brand of Torres brandy. Masterfully made from a selection of the finest grapes, its remarkable aroma and flavor have made Torres 10 the world's most distinguished Grand Reserva brandy. You can kind of see here, it's got the region of appellation here, and it looks like Catalonia. Okay. Right along the border there with France. So, as with most brandies, this is made with white grapes. Don't know what kind of white grapes, unfortunately. Now, some people kind of poo-poo Spanish brandies because, like rums and many other distilled beverages made in Spanish-speaking countries, they tend to include caramel color. They add caramel and for coloration and sugar distillate to add to flavor. And I personally have no problem with that. Being that I'm from the world of beer, where basically anything goes, um, I have no problem with the addition of things to go and create a style. So this is a nice clear reddish brown, very dark compared to the other ones, and of course that's because of the caramel. Aged in oak. Wonderfully nutty raisins, hints of candied citrus, almost port-like notes, tawny port-like notes. So raisins, citrus, nuttiness, hints of treacle. Very raisiny on the nose. Legs are very thick. And onto the palate. Very thick and oily. while not hot on the tongue, there's definitely quite a bit of ethanol in the nose there once you get it in your mouth. It kind of impedes the rest of the flavors. Very long, nutty finish. Hints of wood and dried fruit up front. Actually, quite a bit of wood in the front. A lot drier than I'm expecting. Due to the fact that, this seems to have quite a bit of residual sugar in it due to the thickness of it, but it's not really showing up on the palate. Most of the niceness is in the long finish here, because then the alcohol kind of leaves and you're left with the more nice aromatic notes, top notes that are reaching up to your nose. And the fruit really emerges there, which is kind of obscured in the front and in the mids. Almost chocolatey notes in the mids. I'm not getting much of that candied citrus that is there, candied orange peel that's still there in the nose. There's a bit of it in the mids, but it's kind of obscured by the other flavors. It's chocolate, some of that candied peel. The thing is it's there, but it's because of the lack of sweetness, it doesn't pop out as much as it should. If I'm going to be honest, while it's drinkable by itself, very drinkable by itself, it's not offensive by any means. This is definitely strikes me as something that's much more of a mixer base. You would use this for like sidecars and other brandy cocktails because there's not much complexity there, but the flavors it does have are pretty big and not overpowering, yet not overpowering. I almost want to go and try this inside a cup of black coffee. It actually seems like it might, mix well with that. Or, I actually have some cacao tea, black cacao Colombian tea. I think I'm actually going to go and brew up a cup of that and top it off with some of this. It might be an interesting combo. That said, that kind of shows you the direction I'm going in with this. It's like, well, what can I mix it with to make this a little bit more interesting since it's kind of one note? Um, and that's not a hit against it. It's just, as you know, as I usually go for my liquors, I tend to like things I can drink straight. This is drinkable straight, but not very interesting straight. So, Torres 10 Imperial Brandy. Very interesting nose, though. I must say the nose is fairly complex, but on the palate, fairly one note. Not overly interesting, but it gives you some ideas for like, oh, what could I mix it with to make this, a good base, have other flavors play upon. Well, folks, Torres 10 Reserva Brandy. With that, I'm probably going to try it with that tea. And yeah, that's your final review. I'll be back in about 2 or 3 weeks, or it might be longer depending on what the doctor says for that thing I have going next week. But when I do return, I hope to have some interesting things to review for you. Well, folks, that's your brandy review for this afternoon. Cheers.